take long for the left to attack President Trump's Supreme Court nominee, Amy Coney Barrett. Now, she's being attacked for her strong faith and the adoption of her children. One of the attacks came from the director of the Center for Anti-Racist Research at Boston University, actually scrutinizing Barrett for adopting 2 black children from Haiti. And get this, equating her and her husband to white colonizers. Take a look at his tweet. He said some people colonize adopted black children and use the children as props for lifelong denial of racism. The tweet was in response to a picture of another tweet that said, with 2 adopted children from Haiti, it's going to be interesting to try and watch the Democrats smear Amy Coney Barrett as a racist. Well, to discuss this, let's bring in our company, Mary Walter, host of WMAL, Mornings on the Mall, and Kelly Sadler, former special assistant to the president. Ladies, welcome back. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Well, this is crazy. This tweet from Professor Coney. Essentially, he is the director of anti-racism at Boston University. And for him to insinuate that people only adopt black children so that they don't look racist or that they can say, I'm not racist. I mean, adoption is a beautiful thing in this world. And for him to try to pin this on Amy Coney Barrett and her husband, like that was the reason that they adopted these 2 Haitian children, is absurd, Kelly.
Oh, absolutely absurd. But I mean, this is what we expect from the Democrats, given how contentious the Kavanaugh hearings were. I mean, it's absolutely insane. There's been so many people that have come forward for Judge Barrett saying what a wonderful person that she is. So many of her students saying what a mentor she was and how she uses her faith. She mentored one of the first blind Supreme Court clerks that came through her mentorship while she was at Notre Dame. So this is what we expect from the left, and I think it will discredit them in the eyes of the American public as this nomination moves forward.
Yeah, Mary, people are calling for Professor Coney actually to step down from his position, and rightfully so, to say things like this. But I think when people are trying to dig so deep on something that is actually a beautiful thing, adopting children in need, only shows the weakness of the other side. I don't think that helps them.
No, of course it doesn't help them. I have adopted siblings. My mother has adopted siblings. There are a lot of adopted people in my family. So this hits really close to home for me. And he's never going to lose his job, let's face it. If he were white and saying that about a black woman who adopted 2 white children, black family that adopted 2 white children, he'd be out already. It's not going to happen because he's a racism expert. I think Nancy Pelosi is trying very hard to rein in the crazy this time around because the Kavanaugh hearing and that circus really backfired on them. And you're going to have Kamala Harris up there this time. So they're going to try to really rein it in. I just think that the far left of their party doesn't know anything other than crazy. And she doesn't have control over them. And I think it's going to be a problem.
Kelly, you said that we expect this from the left. I'm going to respectfully disagree with you. I've never seen anything this low in my 30 years in politics. I cannot express how disgusting, deplorable, degrading, you name it, this attack was on her and her family. And that's why I've seen people go real low in politics before. But the idea that you're going after her family and her children in this way, and here's the worst part about it, and I guess maybe I shouldn't be that surprised, but the rest of the folks in the media have sat silently by. There was no outrage on Meet the Press. There was no outrage on This Week with George Stephanopoulos. There was nothing on the Today Show this morning. There was nothing on Good Morning America or CBS, because for them, they don't care. The idea that the mainstream media didn't see this as a problem. When I was at the RNC, if little Johnny spit on the sidewalk and his dad was a Republican, they would call the RNC and say, well, every Republican needs to denounce this abhorrent behavior. But no one has called for anyone in the Democratic Party to say that these attacks are wrong.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, they've tried to downplay it, if anything, where you have a couple of editors on Twitter of these mainstream media news outlets saying, we don't see any racism. We don't see anybody trying to discredit Judge Coney Barrett's record. They're trying not to see it because, as Mary pointed out, this makes them look terribly, terribly bad to the American public. And this is the last thing that, Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi want going on in the hearings. They want to focus on, health care and some of her record, because they don't want to turn this into a Kavanaugh circus. But the radical left is right there. They're unhinged, and it's going to be hard to rein them in.
Mary, do you think that the right should call this? I mean, I think they've crossed a line. And I think that the folks on the right should call it out and make sure that everyone knows how despicable these attacks are coming from the left.
Yeah, you do have them. You have Tom Cotton, Josh Hawley, both speaking out very, very fervently about this. The reason the mainstream media, I think, is ignoring this is because Democrats count on Catholic support. Catholics vote like a block, almost overwhelmingly, for Democrats. So if they can bury this story, they can maybe preserve that, that vote, because ignorance is bliss. So if you don't know about it and you're Catholic, you're just going to pull the lever for a Democrat like you always do.
Hopefully not. Ladies, thank you for coming back and joining us. Look forward to having you back soon.
Thank you.
All right. Well, our next guest from the now infamous Netflix documentary, The Tiger King, Carol Baskin. That's right. She'll be joining us next and tell us about tonight's episode of Dancing with the Stars. Can she beat elimination again? Stay tuned.